Hello. First, let me apologize for my voice and possible coughing. Um, I was diagnosed with COVID a couple of days ago, and I really wanted these videos to be available before the first day of class, so I decided to go ahead and make them. So this is discussion of your syllabus for CIT 219, whose title is Internet Protocols. I'm your instructor, Wayne Beach, and I'm not going to read the syllabus to you word by word. Even if I wasn't having trouble speaking, I don't do that. But I want to go through and point out some highlights and discuss some important things. So this is a standard online class. We will not have any in-person meetings. If I need to meet with a student, we can schedule a meeting in Teams to do that. As far as my information, again, my name's Wayne Beach. My email address is simply wayne.beach@kctcs.edu. I am a full-time employee at the University of Kentucky, so this phone number I've listed here is my phone at the University of Kentucky, which rings through to my laptop. And I don't have an office because I'm an adjunct faculty member at BCTC. I haven't used these in years, but there are mailboxes located in the Newtown campus classroom building in the 213 suite of the NCB building. Since I don't have an office, I don't have regularly scheduled office hours. We will work out a time to meet via email and or Teams, and schedule an appointment, and then that meeting will occur in Teams. Most questions can be answered in the email. The preferred way to reach me is simply email me at my KCTCS email address, which is given there. Next, we have some information about division coordinators and assistant deans. If you need to reach any of these people, here's their office locations, their email address, and their phone number. Typically, you don't need that, but we're required to put it in all syllabi. The next thing is about accommodations. Some students may need particular accommodations in the classroom to be successful in the course. Those accommodations are worked out with the Student Accessibility Services Office, not with the instructor directly. So the process is you talk to somebody in the SAS office, and if they determine an accommodation needs to be made, they will send me a formal document that identifies the student and what accommodations need to be made for the student to be successful in the class. And then I will get a copy of that and do whatever is necessary to meet those accommodations. Here's some general information on websites and things like the student handbook that are available through the website that you may need to look at. So there's links to all that stuff. Again, I said I wasn't going to read everything. Here's the course description. Basically, we're going to be learning about a lot of TCP/IP protocols and underlying technology and packet formats and that type of thing, how these protocols work. The prerequisite for this course is that you should have completed CIT 160 or 161 and or have the consent of the instructor. Upon successful completion of the course, these course competencies basically mean if you participated in the course, you did your homework, you listened to the lectures, you got a passing grade in the class, these are the things that you should be able to explain to someone else and or do related to TCP/IP networking. So there's 13 competencies listed there that you can read on your own. As far as required technology, um, you know, most BCT courses, even if they're hybrid, but definitely if they're 100% online, like this course, you need consistent access to a computer that has a webcam, a microphone, and a high-speed internet connection. Um, Cell phones will not be enough for this class, and because we run Wireshark in this class, pretty sure Wireshark does not run on a Chromebook, unfortunately. So you will need to find, a Mac, a Windows, or a Linux machine that can run Wireshark. If you have a Chromebook, BCTC does have a laptop loaner program that you might check into so that you can complete all your homeworks without going to campus or something else or borrowing a friend's computer. So we're going to be running a piece of software constantly called Wireshark. We may use CLI tools such as TCP dump or WinDump. Again, these only run on Linux, Mac, and or Windows computers. We'll be on Blackboard constantly, and you should be using and reading and checking your KCTCS email. Here, access to required technologies is necessary and expected. Even when computer labs and public library access may be limited, if that's what you're using, you will need to, work around the hours of the library or that type of stuff. If this is going to be an issue, you should contact me immediately and see if we can work out a solution or whether you're going to have to drop the class or something. This course has one required textbook. It's the TCP/IP guide. Here's information. I've been told this should be available through the BCTC bookstore. I personally purchased my copy from eBay. I had a student 2 days ago tell me that they purchased their copy off Amazon. So hopefully the bookstore does have these available. If not, or possibly cheaper, you might look at some other ways to acquire the textbook. There is one optional textbook. I will be providing an electronic copy of this book in Blackboard, but if you desire a physical copy, which I don't think I've had anybody, want to pay for a physical copy of this book. But if you do, it has to be ordered through this store because this is published by IBM, and this has been the only way I've been able to find a physical copy. And I had to buy my copy personally because I found I was teaching this class originally, a year or so ago, like 2 days before class started. Attendance and participation is expected in class. Since this is an online class, you do this by logging into Blackboard daily to check for announcements and assignments, and you're expected in turn your assignments in by the end of the day on the due date. You're responsible for anything that I announce in Blackboard, anything I post in Blackboard in the content area, or anything I send to you via email. Like I've already said, there's no regularly scheduled class meetings. I will be available by appointment. Usually we'll meet through Teams. And again, participation is by completing any assignments that are due in a given week. As far as no-show, years ago when classes were all in person, the no-show policy was if a student did not show up for either of the first two class meetings, they could be dropped as a no-show. Now, since classes are online or hybrid, we have to have a different way to do that. So I have a homework zero, which counts as your attendance verification activity, and it is a short quote test that has one or two questions that basically say, I've read the syllabus, and if I've had any questions, I have asked them. And that has to be completed by January 17th, or you will be dropped as a no-show. And students that are dropped as no-show are not eligible to continue working on the course, and they're not eligible to re-enroll in the course. You have to take it another semester. Email policy. Any email you send, whether it's personal, for work, for school, should have a meaningful subject. A subject of health. Help is not meaningful. I don't know if you're a student. I don't know if you're somebody at UK. If I recognize the name and maybe know you're a student, I might not remember what class you're in. And I do have a few students that are at least in 2 of my classes this semester. So even if I know what those 2 classes are, I don't know which one you're asking a question about. So your subject should contain CIT 219 and have a meaningful subject after that. For example, CIT 219, problem with homework 6. I know what class you're in. I know what you're having a problem with. I know when homework 6 is due, and I can deal with the email much easier. The one thing that's here in bold, but it seems like I always have 1 or 2 students that don't pay attention to this or forget about it, is you absolutely should not use the messaging system in Blackboard. I do not get prompt notification from that. When I get it, my tendency is to reply, type up a big reply to you, send it, and then it tells me that I can't send a mail to no reply at elearning.kctcs.edu. So then I have to go open my email client, find your email address, possibly retype part of the message and send it to you. So please do not use that. The other thing with my classes being online is I'm starting to get students from all over the state and sometimes from outside the state. The due date for my assignments are the end of the day, 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you live in Owensboro and are in the Central Time Zone, that means you should submit your assignment before 10:59 p.m. for Blackboard, not to count it late. Academic integrity policy. This is basically saying that the work you submit should be your own. It should not be created by you and another student or found online and or new as of last semester using AI content generators such as ChatGPT. It's usually pretty obvious when somebody uses an AI, especially if they don't spend the time to think about whether the question they got back made sense or not. I had a student last semester that the question was basically open up a command prompt on your machine, issue this command, now answer these questions about the output of the command. And what that student submitted to me was, I'm sorry, I can't run commands on your computer. What you need to do is open up a command line prompt and then type in this command. Well, instead of seeing what to do for the second time and doing it, they actually copy and pasted that and sent it to me. So it was very obvious that they used an AI, first of all, to do their homework, and second of all, they didn't even look to see if it made any sense, which, it didn't. My sarcastic side wanted to send back to the students, what do you mean you couldn't open a command prompt on my computer? All the other students evidently figured out how to do it because they answered the question appropriately. But I took a more direct approach and said, obviously, you're using AI. Um, you know, you need to stop, or you're going to get an E in the class. The recorded class sessions policy doesn't refer to us because I'm not planning on recording any class meetings. I believe this has things to do about your name showing up or your picture showing up if we're doing a Teams meeting and that type of thing, which I stopped doing several semesters ago. I used to do the syllabus discussion as a group so we could be interactive and I could see the students could see me, but it worked out for various reasons that only a handful of students attended those. So I just decided to do this and discuss it and give it to the students. You can look at the equity and unity statement that was endorsed in March of 2017. Basically, it's saying that we endorse equality and unity of our students. A couple of years ago, they started requiring us having a brief description of all the graded course components, which actually I think turned out to be a really good thing. So in this class, you will have homeworks, 1 or 2 a week. Something that I refer to as a homework is something that was created by me. You will also have quizzes created by me. These will be weekly quizzes, and they will be on typically material covered in the previous week. And then you will have 2 exams, a midterm and a final exam. Both of these will be created by me, and they will be administered via Blackboard, and they will be proctored using Respondus, which I talk about next. So Respondus is a piece of software that during COVID, KCTCS purchased for proctoring exams so that they did not have to keep the testing centers open. And now that we've gone back to more in person, they still pay for this for all the online and hybrid courses. And any instructor that wants to have a proctored exam can use this. You will need a computer with high-speed internet. You will need the Respondus browser installed on your computer, which we will do as part of a homework assignment closer to your midterm. And you will need a properly working webcam and microphone. You cannot access Respondus on a mobile device. And like I said, a couple of weeks before your midterm, I will give you an assignment where you install Respondus and use Respondus to take a 1 or 2 question quote test to make sure your software is installed correctly, that it's functioning properly, and that you know how to use it and what to expect before you take the real test, the midterm, a couple of weeks later. And if there's any issues, that gives us a couple of weeks to try to figure those out. As far as course grades, as of a year or so ago, we started entering midterm grades officially into PeopleSoft. That will occur on the midterm date that's listed in the tentative schedule. I believe it's March 4th, but we'll see it here in a minute. The midterm grades will be posted on that day, and they're basically, if I had to give you a grade today in the class, what would that grade be? So that you know where you stand and if you're doing good, or if maybe you need to work on things, or maybe you need to think about whether to drop or, quickly catch up in the class, whatever the instance is. Okay, as far as final grade calculation, those homeworks I talked about will make up 40% of your grade, the average of those. The average of your weekly quizzes will be 20% of your grade. Your score on the midterm exam will be 20% of your grade. And your score on the final exam will be 20% of your grade. Once I calculate all that, I use a traditional grading scale of 90 to 100 is A, 80 to 89 is a B, etc. As far as makeup work, I expect homeworks to be completed on the due date they are assigned or specified as being due. You know, unexcused late work may be accepted. If you know you're going to have a problem, you have to travel for work, or places like Toyota sometimes had mandatory training. If that's going to impact turning in your homework, please let me know as soon as possible, and we'll work something out if it's a reasonable request. Withdrawal policy, with this being a 200 level class, you may already know this, but prior to the midterm, you can simply go into PeopleSoft and drop a class on your own. After that midterm date, up through the last day of classes of the regular semester, the week before finals week, you have to have my permission. I will ultimately give you my permission. We may talk about it and make sure that it's the right thing for you to do, but ultimately I will give you my permission to withdraw if you ask me to. Here's links to some helpful BCTC resources that you might want to look at. Free tutoring is offered through BCTC. Sometimes we have an official embedded tutor in our class. Other times my 161 tutor has been farther enough along that they're able to and have agreed to tutor for 219. I think this semester we will get a student, probably the same one I had last semester, that is considered our embedded tutor, and their contact information will appear in the Start Here section in your Blackboard class under the tutoring section. As far as the free tutoring they're talking about here, sometimes they have in-person tutors on the BCTC campuses. Other times they have people that tutor virtually. So you set up a meeting with them and meet in Zoom or Teams to have the tutorial session. So that is separate from our embedded tutor, and you can use whichever one works out best or which one you think helps you the most. It's totally up to you, and that's all free. Here's a link to policies and resources that you might want to look at that has information on financial aid, tutoring, withdrawal, important contact information, etc. As far as getting support on Respondus, you have to do that through the Respondus browser, and you can live chat with somebody. So if you're taking an exam and have an issue, you can choose to chat with somebody at support, and they will hopefully help you. This closed contingency, I left this in verbatim because you may have hybrid or in-person classes other than 219 that this might apply to. But the statement for this course is extended campus closures should not have a significant impact on the course outline or delivery or policies because you're getting everything online anyway already. If you have any questions that, hopefully we don't have an extended campus closure, but, people were worried that we might get a new strain of COVID or something and have to shut down again. This is the policy that would apply to that or any other kind of emergency extended campus closure. This is the course outline. This is the official course outline. I'm not going to read this to you word by word, but it is a long list of all the things that we're going to cover in this class. Reporting dates. I saw this on a faculty member's syllabus a year or so ago and thought it was a good idea. You have the attendance confirmation, what I call the no-show date. That no-show activity must be completed by January 17th, or you will be reported as a no-show and dropped from the class. Typically, the fourth week of class, we have something called a Starfish progress report, where I go through for every student and say, hey, you're doing a good job. Hey, keep up the good work, but you're missing a couple of assignments. Hey, you're getting really, really far behind. You need to get on track to catch back up. Or you're so far behind, haven't done anything in a month. You really need to think about dropping the class. The midterm grades, or the midterm date, is March 4th. That is when midterm grades are posted. Typically, the 12th week of class, we have a second Starfish progress survey. And then the Monday after finals week, which this semester is May 6th. That is when your final grades will be posted. I usually like to post those on Friday or Saturday, but for reasons, assorted reasons, sometimes, it won't happen until Monday morning. But I try to get them in as soon as I can. As far as a tentative schedule, here is the tentative schedule. Right now, things to point out is during the 8th week of class is when your midterm exam is scheduled for. It will be proctored Monday through Thursday of that week, so you can take the exam in that time frame, whatever is convenient for you. A couple weeks later, we have spring break, and then finals is the 29th through May 3rd. Your exam will be administered again Monday through Thursday, which is April 29th through May 2nd. And that week 16 needs to be strucken. After I finish this video, I will go remove that. That is from a fall semester that I evidently failed to remove. But I'll update that right now. So that's a discussion of your syllabus. If you have any questions at all, please contact me.